Microsoft's E3 conference this year is one I have difficulty summarizing my thoughts on in any kind of concise way. Why is this the case? Well, on face value, without really thinking about outside factors besides the games themselves, Microsoft's conference was solid. Microsoft's games looked fun on the whole. But Microsoft's E3 conference solidified beyond doubt that there will be no more Xbox One exclusives. Every single game is now coming to the PC. The Xbox One has no more exclusives. Only multi-platform games that aren't going to PS4. In the eyes of any rational console gamer who by this stage should be taking a good hard look at getting into PC gaming, and in the eyes of someone like me who already owns a high-end PC, there is no longer any reason to get an Xbox One. My Xbox One is effectively worthless to me. I would lose nothing if I took my Xbox One outside and smashed it to pieces with a sledgehammer. Up until last year, there was genuine reason to believe that Microsoft was still going to keep some of their games on the Xbox One. Xbox One games that ended up coming to PC were usually third-party titles as opposed to games developed in-house. The fact that they put such a heavy emphasis on crossplay, getting a copy of their games on Xbox One and PC, as well as everything being labeled Xbox One and Windows 10 exclusive, which means multi-platform game, confirms in my mind that this is now the norm. Great for PC gamers like me, but not great for Xbox One owners. Don't kid yourselves by going, oh, well, I don't care if these games are coming to the PC. You should, because you bought into an Xbox One and are getting fucked over. If you had bought a PC instead of an Xbox One, you'd be swimming pretty. So when evaluating Microsoft's E3, this looming fact cannot be ignored. Microsoft definitely made the Xbox One redundant to me. I don't need it. I have no incentive to buy an Xbox One S. And while I'm interested in seeing what they do with the Scorpio, I'm not fucking buying one. Why would I? It's not like it's gonna have any exclusives. Speaking of hardware, can we talk about the redundancy of the Xbox One S? Who in their right mind would buy an Xbox One S when you yourselves, Microsoft, have confirmed that some kind of super console is releasing next year? You'd have to be out of your goddamn mind to think that was a smart investment. I mentioned this on Twitter, but I'm intrigued by the Xbox Scorpio in that I want to know more about it. This is partially because I'm always cool with seeing new hardware, but I'm also somewhat skeptical. The whole Xbox Scorpio thing absolutely reeks of 32X, and I reckon some Xbox One owners are gonna feel pretty jaded about having their console left behind, which it likely will be no matter what Microsoft says. I'd say look at the Scorpio cautiously. In terms of Microsoft's games, I was largely satisfied with the games themselves. Gears 4 had a much better showing this year with less slow walking and more actual combat. Forza Horizon 3 is set in Australia, which naturally earned it some brownie points. Plus, Horizon 2 was good, so no doubt Forza Horizon 3 will be fun. ReCore still intrigues me, as I think the premise is fairly creative. I was also genuinely surprised that the release date was set for September. I was sure it would be delayed to 2017. However, considering it's coming out in only a few months, and we still don't know much about it, I'm guessing we'll hear more at Gamescom. After this point, a lengthy amount of the conference got really boring. We started seeing third-party stuff with a little in the way of new information. The Battlefield 1 trailer they showed was the same fucking trailer that we saw a day before. And I don't know whose bright idea it was to waste 5 minutes of time on Minecraft. Yeah, 1 minute for ReCore, a cool looking game we still know nothing about, but heaps of time on a game we've all already played. Of course, Microsoft talked about their whole ID at Xbox program, and I definitely caught a glimpse of some cool looking games. We got the announcement of a Gwent game, which I don't really care about, and Tekken 7, which I also don't really care about. Then we got the announcement of Dead Rising 4 with particularly suspect language used. I caught onto this straight away. Everything else was Xbox One and Windows 10 exclusive, which in itself is a stupid phrase, but for Dead Rising 4, they said, coming to Xbox One and Windows 10. In other words, coming to the PS4 as well. This is what I mean about Microsoft. They're always fucking around with words to mislead people. It's not like Sony don't have timed exclusives and third-party games, but they don't deliberately attempt to mislead the consumer like Microsoft tend to do. It just pisses me off. I repeatedly talked about my anticipation for Scalebound, and again, it looks cool. I'm definitely looking forward to picking that up. Then came Rare's Sea of Thieves, which I'm interested in, but their showcase for it was a little bit shit. The commentary over the gameplay was about as enthralling as rubbing my dick with a cheese grater. You're not going to sell me on your game by showing a bunch of idiots screaming into my ear. Microsoft didn't do a great job showing off Halo Wars 2 either. CGI trailer tells us nothing about how the game plays, and the story isn't a big selling point when this game is set before the original Halo games. We already know how it ends. They showed us a small amount of gameplay, but also announced a demo that's available on Xbox One, so I can't really hold that against them. So as you can tell, Microsoft did an alright job when it came to showing off their in-house titles, but the looming caveat of the whole conference was, you don't need an Xbox One to play any of our games. You can talk about hardware announcements and software updates, and Windows 10 is like Xbox, so it's still Microsoft, all you want. But as a guy who owns a PC, my Xbox One is now worthless. I'll be getting all of these now multi-platform games for my PC, and if you were smart, you'd get into PC gaming too. So while Microsoft did a decent job showing off their games, it's pretty clear a lot of people have now been permanently swayed from ever getting an Xbox One. So when it came to promoting the purchase of an Xbox One, Microsoft did a pretty shit job. But when we ignore that aspect and look at the games, they did alright. But to ignore that aspect would be to ignore reality.